Quarter, man. Okay, let's go. Dan.
Hey, mustard on a beat, how deep out. Any rap nigga, he a freak, thump man down. Call an ambulance, tell him free, bro. Yell a nigga to the cross, he walk around like, what's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me. Come on, Lily mama, how many op really got? Mean it's too many options. Finish pass on his body, I'm John Stockton.
Yo. That. Okay, let's get straight to it. This is gonna be a different show. Because the energy is different. Not since Dipset versus the Lox have felt this way, and I think this might surpass Dipset versus the Lox. First things first, Dan, did you stay up to watch the pop out? Okay. 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 A wife and a life. Of the pirated version. Okay, well, walk me through, like, okay, what is it like for you, like, waking up and seeing the aftermath?
I got nothing done. No, I mean, obviously I knew the concert was going to happen. So I was like, all right, no worries. I'll just watch it in the morning. I actually planned that, you know what? While I'm working, I'm going to have it on in the background, which was very difficult to do, obviously, because you get caught up in it. When I woke up and I saw everyone's talking about it, which was very interesting. What's the problem, Philip?
I'm telling you to pause for a second, and so I can do this.
I mean, you can just press it.
Yeah, but then there'll be the noise. All right, continue.
Where was I? Oh, yes. So obviously, I mean, when I woke up and I saw people were talking about it and I saw some clips about it, it's not anything I didn't expect. It's not like there were any major surprise. It's exactly what we thought it was going to be. The only air quotes thing.
No, it ain't. No,
Phil, when you knew that there's a Ken and Friends pop-out concert happening in California, you thought that, I wonder what this is. It was exact. That's exact. The only difference is cameo appearances of certain people, and, you know, you didn't know what the exact lineup is going to be. But I enjoyed, I would like to say, let me think. No, actually, most of the lineup didn't move the needle too much. But like a good solid amount I enjoyed. And then obviously when Kendrick came out, like, and it was dope. The energy was dope. Just the feeling. There were certain points where I had to be like, nah, I have to go through that song again and go back. And you know, when certain, anyway, why are we doing this, Phil? We're supposed to be discussing this. Let's start the podcast.
Let's discuss it. We're discussing it.
No,
doesn't matter. Let's discuss it.
Let's go. We got to start the podcast first.
Dan, do you think there's a podcast listener who's like, oh my God, they haven't started the podcast. All protocol has not been observed. This is so unordinary.
All right.
I move to strike all this from the record.
I want to ask you, if Two Broke Twimbos has, let's say for the sake of argument, 100,000 listeners. Let's say Two Broke Twimbos has 100,000 listeners. How many do you think are resonating with not since what is it that you said? The clips. No, who did you mention?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Which beef did you mention that you were comparing this one to?
I was saying not since the Lox versus Dipset, the verse.
Oh yeah, Dipset versus the Lox. Sorry. How many do you think are resonating to that statement? Or how many do you think are sitting here resonating to the concept of LA and California and the West Coast and that beef? Just out of 100,000.
There's no, I can hedge a bit. Listen, it's conservative. 90% of the people listening to this podcast are familiar with Kendrick Lamar and familiar with Drake because they listen to this podcast. We've discussed it heavily.
Of course. But to you, this is a canon event, which is allowed. And to me, it is. But then you're like, no, you think people are going to say we mustn't start the... Hey, man, there's people who are tuning in to listen to us talk about relationships, man. I don't know why, but there's people tuning into... So I want to cater to all our listeners. I think we must have a solid chunk of our episode discussing this amazing concert that happened. But I also recognize that there's some of our listeners who probably don't care that much. And that's fine. So that's why I want us to start the podcast, give the people the thing that they enjoy, the reason why they subscribed, and make sure everyone is happy and not just the hip-hop heads. Is that all right with you, Philip?
Cool, Dan.
Let's go!
Jump up in the club, everybody gather round. Two broke Twimbos house in the town. Listen close to the sound. Now me that guy and feel charged. Baby bringing the fun. With the podcast vibes, we not stop till the morning sun. Every episode got me laughing, can't control my smile. Talking about the latest news with their unique style. From Zimbabwe to the world, they spreading good vibes, keeping it real and entertaining. They're on the rise, two more Twimbos, bring the heat to the floor. Everybody we gonna keep grooving. Oh yeah.
Woo!
Hey, 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 hey. We gonna keep grooving to the podcast flow. Oh yeah.
There we go. That feels better. That feels better. You know, Phil, we worked hard. We commissioned artists and musicians, and we went through a lot of work to get this intro. People deserve to hear it.
That's right. Anyway, do your intro, Dan. Let's go.
And now we gotta ask y'all.
Good to go. Sound of the thing now.
Oh, God.
Let's mark it up.
I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back later.
Let's go! Welcome to another episode of Two Broke Twimbos. You gotta set the energy right. We gotta make sure that this podcast is good for you and for us, man. We want to be in the right space, the right headspace, the right energy. Welcome to another episode. My name's Danny That Guy, aka Denos the Med Titan, aka Denford Wek Maraini, aka Denimbi, my life, your entertainment, aka I'm done with these streets. Yo, I hope I never have Advocate Mahere as an op. That's all I can say, because yo, aka Akuna Mumu and Ditan Mu.
That's right. The unmistakable, the irrefutable, the uncrushable, the undeniable. The not like usable. I am operating on 1 hour of sleepable. Full chat. I gave floss to big boss. Big Vita P. Sex into Lovu. Phil on Musk. Filthy Phil. DJ Mkaradi. And of course, Shamani, take a drink. Anyway, let's get on to it. First and foremost, you know, we'll get into it a bit later. But yeah, we bumped into Fadzi over the weekend. And we're just like, but why, Fadzi? But why? And she was like, what do you mean? I am just out here trying to burn my calories, close my rings every day, you know, and mind my business. I was like, you know what, Fadzi, you're right. Do your thing. You know what I mean? And then we spoke about gyms and so forth. Fadzi has an extensive knowledge of gyms in the city. Like,
I mean,
a little too extensive. Like, she even knows the hole in the wall gyms. Like, I was like, why would you know this gym? Why?
I mean, she's made fitness and working hard in the gym her brand. I would imagine that, you know, she's probably been invited to many a session. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She's probably very well versed in the art of working out. 5 a.m. club, what. But what she is definitely well versed in. In fact, from now on, I'm going to make the Not Like Us instrumental play whenever I'm reading her tweets. Because, yo, you got to let people breathe. Damn.
And run it back 6 times. Okay.
6 times for the 6th God.
No. I don't want to say this disparagingly. How do I put this in words? All right, we're going to get, first things first, we got to start with the pop-out. We got to start with Kendrick Lamar and friends at the pop-out show. Obviously, I don't think anyone in our immediate vicinity was there. I'll double check. I don't think any of our patrons were there. A lot of them were streaming.
They would have mentioned it. They absolutely would have mentioned
it. We had a nice little watch party in the Patreon group
at 2 a.m.
watching the live stream. So the thing is, I had to go to the airport. So I was already up late because of the airport. And by the time I got back, I was like, okay, I've got 2 choices here. I can go to bed because I'm tired, or I can watch it. And at that point, DJ Headset had already started. I was like, you know what? Excuse me. This is a sign from the universe. Let me just watch. So I started watching whilst doing some other stuff.
Where were you watching it?
I was watching on Twitch.
Okay, cool.
So
That's why I looked because
I don't lie.
since I knew it was going to be on Twitch, I was like, dope! I'm going to check it out on Twitch in the morning. But they obviously didn't save the video.
So the other thing is, Dan and I usually record this podcast early in the week because Liquid / Zol, whatever, decided to pull a madness on the day we recorded. We weren't able to record, and I think it was also another sign.
A very rare
Guys, just
occurrence,
wait a
an
few
extremely rare occurrence. But anyway, continue.
Just wait a few days because now we have something real to talk about. Like
We had plenty to talk about. Actually. There's lots to talk about.
but now this is like it would have looked away if the episode had come out and this wasn't touched. It like it would have been like I would have been stressing you like, okay, damn, we need to do an emergency episode, or we need to do a Patreon like chat or something, because I'm watching this thing, right, and DJ Head, his set, I just put the end of Rave on, and then DJ Head was bringing on a lot of up and coming LA acts. I wasn't familiar with a lot of them, and a lot of them were doing, for lack of a better term, they weren't doing performance mixes. They were rapping over their own vocals. They were
doing fiesta raps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's a rapper like even Rambo who came out and said, "Yo, this is my first performance." And I'm not too sure if that was like I'm trying to process what he was saying in that tweet. Is he saying this is his first ever performance? Because he's a new up and coming act. You know, I mean, he's got a bit of a buzz. Only 10,000 followers on socials. But surely this isn't your first act. This is maybe your first arena act. Because keep in mind, this is probably the first time a lot of these acts are performing. They've gone from performing in comedy clubs, maybe small theaters, you know, maybe outdoor events, small community type things of 200, 300, maybe even 1,000 people. You go from 1,000 people to, I think the Kia, it was 20,000 people, right? In the Kia Forum.
I actually weirdly enough, I wanted to check that. I was trying to find out what the number is. So this is the first time I've actually seen that number somewhere.
Yeah, so it's 20,000.
20,000.
So it's 20,000, yeah. So 20,000 people. So that's a big jump, especially when you consider that stage was insane. That was at least a 30-meter runway.
The pyro, the pyrotechnics as well, because
dude, the screen, you had two. What was a rectangular prism? So I think it was a 30 by 10 rectangular full 360 LED panel above the stage, capturing everything. So like the setup was insane. The only thing that let me down was the DJ desk. Was like I was like, okay, guys, you invested so much in everything else. You couldn't get like an LED panel for the front of this DJ box, you know, just to cover up the cables. You know what I mean? Small pet peeve, in the grand scheme of things. But so I didn't anticipate the amount of acts that came out. I think in total, it must have been at least 40 guest acts. I haven't got the full list because I didn't know all of them. I did have fun, like, remembering that. Dan, you want to hear a fun fact? Mm-hmm. It was a big day for Elon Musk yesterday. Obviously, we're not going to touch on too much, but Elon Musk and Versus announced that they now have a partnership going forward, blah, blah, blah. But also, there's another big day for Elon Musk. Do you know his brother-in-law was performing at the Kendrick Lamar's concert?
Elon's brother-in-law, as in his sister's husband?
Grimes' half-brother is Jay Worthy. Jay Worthy was opening up with DJ Head. He's a rapper from Canada.
Okay, so you mentioned like 40 opening acts. Like 25 of them were literally, come on, do one song, get off. Come on, do one song, get off. And
But that's the standard for DJ set. Like if an and friends DJ set is usually like that. That is the standard. Shout out to DJ Dimples, may rest in peace. A little connective tissue. Like when he did his set at the first Kendrick Lamar I went to many years ago, he had like 20 acts come out, and they were doing like he had the whole Ranz and Naira squad for the remix come out for Ranz and Naira's remix. They only did one song and then they left, and then he had Casper do 2 songs. Then he left. Then Okay Malum Cool Cat came out. Then he did a song and left. Then Blaze came out. Then Questa came out. It was a lot.
What I will say is, I guess the benefit of watching it afterwards on demand, right? Some of them looked like, oh, interesting. Okay, you know what? This is going to sound very negative, but let me just, I had actually written it down as a note to mention during this concert. Granted, I know that many of these acts were very new, they were up and coming, they were fresh, they were learning, etc. but it was the typical formula of an unrehearsed, or at least it looked unrehearsed, idea of there's a song playing, you come on and you're just shouting over the song. And especially in situations where there's more than one person with a mic, you guys are just shouting over each other at the same time. And to me, it's such a huge difference to what Kendrick did, or what, of course, some of the more experienced acts like Tyler, the Creator, for example, or Schoolboy Q later on, or J-Rock or whatever, where they clearly have mastered breath control. They know when to speak. They're rapping over instrumentals. It's like a performance that like really, like, it sounds good. To me, honestly, I would rather just hear the original song than see some of these dudes who clearly don't know what they're doing on stage and they're kind of rapping over each other. It was so annoying to me. And every time that happened, I was just like, fast forward to the end of this song or the end of this guy's set.
But you're missing, you're missing the point there, because you had the luxury of watching a pirated recorded version, I say. But because if you're watching the live stream, right, you're in the moment. You cannot turn away because you don't know when Kendrick is coming out. You don't know who's coming up next, right? And they did a good thing by starting with Ray Vaughn. So Ray Vaughn, who's the new up-and-coming act at TDE, kind of made it say like, oh, snap, there could be a lot of big acts coming through DJ headset, so let me not miss this. But also, you already have, well, granted, people were still filing in. So let's say 50% of the audience were there for DJ headset. So that's 10,000 people. But you've got damn near 1 million people watching on the various streams that are being perpetuated across. Because obviously the legitimate streams on Amazon and Twitch. But then there's also the people that are like grabbing the stream and then reposting on YouTube because people don't know to find it on Twitch. Funny enough, today I went to watch a replay which I found on YouTube. And in between the sets, the guy's shouting out the people that are in the chat. And he keeps shouting out Zimbabwe. Which I found hilarious. But so the advantage to those acts is they are getting a platform that they never have. And the thing is like, until you go through something, you won't know, oh snap, you know what? I now need to have a performance mix, because Charlamagne even spoke about this. Charlamagne had dinner with DJ Head 2 nights ago. DJ Head did not even tell Charlamagne this is going on. DJ Head has 20 acts that he's now trying to corral. Keep in mind, the other thing that's a major key to this performance is these are acts from different areas, different sections, beefing sections. And what Kendrick was pushing was all this unity, gang unity plus unity amongst artists, which was unheard of for quite some time. So can you imagine the stress, Dan, of just wrangling 20 acts, up and coming new acts that have this opportunity? Then you have to teach them stage presence, timing, how to come in, how to work with in-ear monitors, for example.
Yeah.
Then you realize they don't have performance mixes for their songs. Then you've got to make sure that them and their crews don't kill each other backstage or start or let anything pop off because you're trying to serve a bigger purpose. In the grand scheme of things, considering the fact that as far as we know, as time of recording, there's been no news of any altercations, incidents, whatever that may be.
Someone said Kendrick had the Bloods and the Crips saying, "No, after you, sir. No, after you, sir." Getting off the stage.
Indeed.
I chuckled.
And that's the point. Like, in the grand scheme, it's a small thing because some of these acts, I'm not even going to lie, as bad as some of these performances, I was like, yeah, I'm going to check this guy out. You know, like, I've been a big Steve Lacy fan. For the life of me, I've never bothered to look up a Steve Lacy music video.
Yeah. I mean, this
is my first time seeing Steve Lacy's face in the person. Like, oh, snaps on you! Oh, this is my jam! Oh.
And I mean, it's kind of a jam, though. I won't lie. Remember, didn't we play some of his music on the podcast? Do you remember that time when we were playing? Like,
I think we did. Yeah. I mean, I just discovered something. Like, you just dropped his new project. So I think all that to say is, I am not mad at the up and coming acts delivering a performance that's consummate with where they are in their careers. And this is an amazing. Can you imagine? This is. I'm going to skip around a bit, but there were some people discussing like the impact this concert has in culture. And someone says the closest analogous I can think of is Motown 25. And a lot of people who watched Motown 25 agree. I personally wasn't around for Motown 25. The biggest live event that I remember seeing was, streamed rather, was the Michael Jackson Thriller 25 celebration. And no, it was Thriller 30 actually. And that to me was a big deal, right? And I think this easily surpasses that because of contextual understanding, the way we were able to consume it, the way it was a communal event. The numbers this has done already. I just did a cursory media share look. Like the earned media on this is bananas. This is already bigger. Well, it's getting close to be bigger than the Drake versus Kanye battle on Amazon Prime as well. And
I'm sure that
was no small
because right now everything we've seen, like you've mentioned, everything we've seen post in terms of apart from live, right? Everything that we've seen on demand is pirated unless you have an Amazon Prime account. I didn't check if that's actually,
but it's still trackable.
Yeah.
So all the tools that we have, Amazon has them times 10.
Of course. But what I mean by that is I expect that they're going to release this in other formats available to other, maybe paid formats or wherever it is. They're going to release this kind of stuff out going forward more.
I would hope that they drop it on Amazon Prime because they've done it before. The Kanye and Drake thing, they released on Amazon Prime. All the concerts that they've done, the Billie Eilish thing, the SZA thing, they've all... Like even concert films are a really big driver for these streaming platforms. Apple TV, Amazon Prime are probably the bigger ones that push a lot of them. Even the Burna Boy, the Madison Square Garden was an Amazon Prime thing as well. So it should be there. If those other ones were there, this one should be there as well. So all that to say, I think like impact-wise, the numbers are already looking crazy. And this is 12 hours in. So I'm watching this thing.
So just to
DJ headset.
Before you move on from that point, I just wanted to quickly respond to it. So from an industry perspective, I think sometimes, and we saw this in the argument we were having with the Drake fans in our group chat earlier. Obviously, from an industry perspective, I completely understand why you would want to expose newer acts. And why, you hope that it's like a sort of like a kick in their career that, damn, I need to work on my live sets and all of that. But from a consumer perspective, who's not really that interested in the movement of the industry and whatever, I'm talking about, here's this 4-hour plus product that I'm consuming. The first 2 hours, okay, that's not fair because there was a lot of the time when either DJ Head or Mustard were really playing dope music and it wasn't just like performances, right? And at some point you were listening to some more established acts like Roddy Ricch and et cetera, et cetera. But
I think you're jumping ahead, but okay, carry on.
Yeah, my point is that initial part, especially that first part when DJ Head was introducing all these new TD acts and new West Coast acts and people who, like the Kazos, I was like, yo, it doesn't sound good, man. And I hate to be a hater, but I got to fast forward through this.
But then okay, but this is my point, Anjiga. What is the purpose of a curtain raiser?
Phil, I'm with you. What I'm trying to say is I did not enjoy it. And it's not true that a curtain raiser will not be enjoyable. Because I'll give you an example. At King Kandoro's show, he brought out Jungle Loco. Jungle Loco has not had a big hit. He's sort of bubbling under. He's brand new. And my man came out and he did he did 2 songs. 2 songs. And the first song was his what's probably his most well-known song to date. I forgot what it's called. It's not even that big a song. But yeah, people were kind of like, okay. And then his second song was this. He was telling a story in the style of freestyling a cappella. And he won the audience over. People were like, yo, this is dope. And I look at that, I'm like, here's the case of someone who doesn't know what they're doing because they haven't done this before. He's new. People don't know him. But he's won people over with his opening act performance. Now, of course I know, probably even our faves in all their opening act performances or when they started out, they were all kind of bad and they were still learning or whatever. And I get it. And I don't begrudge them the opportunity to do this. I'm just giving feedback on I consumed this content and I didn't enjoy it. On what you're talking about, the industry and the growth and whatever, I get it. I get why they did it. I understand why it's there. And you know what? It shouldn't not be there. But my feedback is I didn't enjoy it.
That is fair. But I was going to say the main premise here, it's not necessarily entertainment value. The premise here is unifying these people. It's a proof of concept because I'm not going to even pretend to know all the internal politics.
The nuances
I'm an observer of this. Yeah. But Kendrick alluded to it, and a lot of people who understand the scene that I've spoken to, granted, these are people that are not necessarily in LA, but they're in Texas, one's in Washington State. So, but they are familiar with what goes on there. They were like, the fact that he was able to get this many different sections and just this many different gang affiliated artists all into the same venue, all on the same bill, is ground changing. So the priority there as the coordinator or the creative director for the event is, I don't like, my priority is safety and making sure everyone gets their time.
Which is wild.
Quality of performance. You know what I mean? Because the last thing you want is someone missing their time for whatever reason, and then now they get flustered and then things pop off backstage. You know what I mean? So that's what I took from it. Granted, I agree with you. Some of those performers were not great. Like I said, I was doing other things while the set was going on. Because
at 2 a.m.
my attention.
Nah, Philip.
No. I was like, I'm staying up. I might as well try to use my time productively.
I mean, you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do.
Then Mustard came out. And that's when things picked up. So I didn't know Mustard was popping up. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember seeing. I think I might have seen it. I'm not too sure. But Mustard's PR team, I've capitalized on this moment very well. Like a day before, Mustard has a big interview with Billboard go live. Then the next day, he's opening up for Kendrick. Mustard does his set, introduces his music, then brings out a slew of acts. So Blast mic didn't seem to be working. That's another thing. I think because you've got so many acts, you've got so many mics. I feel for the sound engineers. I can understand what they were dealing with. Because Roddy Rich's mic had problems. Blast mic has problems. Could barely hear Blast. But so he brings out Blast. He brings out Roddy Rich. He brings out Dom Kennedy.
Ty Dolla Sign. Ty Dolla Sign.
At this point, I'm crip walking in the living room.
Steve Lacy. So I was enjoying like, Ty Dolla Sign came out. I was like, oh snap. All right, cool. Blast, like you said, he didn't sound too good. His mic was too low. And then Steve Lacy, and I was like, oh yeah, I know this tune. Okay, cool.
Then, dude, I went crazy for Steve Lacy.
Then Tyler, the Creator.
Dude, the response. Tyler almost blew the roof off, and I was like, yo. I remember when this dude was winning MTV VMAs like a decade ago. And people were booing him on stage.
I want us to do a quick aside. So, my wife is a huge fan of Tyler, the Creator. It actually started with her little sister. You remember her little sister, Tony, right? So Tony loved Tyler, the Creator, and it sort of like moved on to. So I was like, damn, that's what the kids listen to. I remember Tyler, the Creator. Tyler, the Creator is from my era, I would say, kind of. Not really, but like y'all are listening to Tyler, the Creator like that. And the thing is, the way I remember Tyler, the Creator, he was just like this really rough, very aggressive dude who said the wildest things, and his songs were just, and like, I remember some of his songs I kind of messed with, but I was just like, I suppose it's not really for me. And I kind of didn't pay that much attention to him over the years. Tyler, Creator has the kids, yo. Like, pause and everything. But I mean, like the 16 to 22, 23 demographic, they love Tyler, the Creator. And then I didn't know this until maybe a couple of years ago when my wife was super into him because her sister was super into him. So I was like, Tyler, the Creator, really? Is it the same Tyler I remember? Then I started listening to his music. It's like, yo, this is dope, man. This is dope. Tyler's dope. And he's not what I remember. Maybe, I don't know if he's the same artist or I'm just remembering differently, but I was like, I swear this is not the Tyler I remember.
His last two albums have been a lot more R&B-ish.
Yeah. And
he switched from that like grungy concept stuff they used to do, but it's still dope.
And remember, when were we talking about, which festival were we talking about where Drake was a surprise act?
Camp Flogna.
Yeah. Yo, Tyler has got the streets, and you could just see it when he came out, and like the whole crowd there was like going crazy for Tyler. They dropped just hearing the first note of his song. Then he performed "You Make My Earthquake," and I was like, "Oh snap!" And that's when I sent the pirate link to my wife. I was like, "Listen, you got to watch this." So it's I think at some point, because I missed so much of Tyler's, I guess his evolution or whatever. I don't know what happened. Tyler, the Creator, went from this dude that I remember who wasn't really my cup of tea to like, one of my favorites at the moment, which is wild. So it was just a quick aside I wanted to make. And when he came out, I was like, oh, snap. Dope, man. And then probably the most impactful in the beef was when YG came out.
Wait, let's not get ahead of us. I think it was before that. I think already, like, if I was Drake and I was like, watching this like on the second TV, and when that camera panned to LeBron James and his wife in the audience.
I didn't see his wife. I just saw LeBron. I remember I just saw LeBron. I was like, wait, was that LeBron? And then like so everyone was saying that in the comments, right? And I was like, oh yeah, it was him. And so, Phil, I have a question on that. Again, it's something that I noted for discussion. And since we're at it now, I figured let me bring it up. I know the marketing of this event was based on this whole Drake and Kendrick beef. But can it be said that every artist who performed, especially outside of Kendrick's set, can it be said that every artist who performed is now a Drake op? Or is there a possibility that Mustard was like, listen, here's the Ken and Friends pop-out concert. I want you to come out and do one of your songs on my set. And the person could be like, listen, I ain't got no beef with Drake, but hey, opportunity to perform in LA. I'm going to do my thing. Da-da-da-da.
No, I think it's far too polarized. Dude, he played Not Like Us 6 times.
Okay, but that was like 2 hours later.
Okay, Dan, you said it yourself. You said we knew what this concert was about. So don't
I'm asking. Yourself. I'm not contradicting. I'm not saying it is. I was wondering.
I'm saying your understanding, right? Your understanding as an observer. No, wait, let me finish my sentence. Your understanding as an observer is not as astute as the observers, or rather the viewing, the understanding, the context that someone in that city, in the industry will have. They are hearing things, they know things that we will never hear or know of. So they understand fully what this means, right? So just being seen there, and also all these people that like the artists, well, rather the artists, especially from Mustard's set onwards, they are established enough, they are big enough to have teams that understand what optics look like. LeBron's team know what the optics look like.
I know that.
Russell Westbrook's team, DeMar DeRozan's team, all these people know what the optics look like, right? So you can have a conversation with Drake. Let me put it to you this way, Dan. Right. You have a beef with someone.
Yep.
I'm not involved in that beef. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This person invites me to a dinner party. Let's say I don't even know what the premise of this dinner party is, but I know you two don't get along. Give it a heads up. Yo, just a heads up. This person invited me to dinner party. And you, like, dude, like, my beef is not your beef. Don't worry. It's cool. Thanks for the heads up. Bet. We get to that dinner party. This person's like, Taz, I just want to set a test. Before I begin this test, I just want to let everyone know that Dan is a bastard, eh? I hate Dan, and I think he fiddles the ghibli bits of young children everywhere. He's a bastard. Yeah, I really don't like that Dan guy, eh? All right, so at that point, I have a decision to make. Do I sit quietly while this man disparages your character? Do I address it or do I leave? Now, me being the type of person I am, I'd either do one of two things: address it or leave. Because the next day, when you then find out, yo, Phil, when homeboy was saying these things about me, what did you do? If I say, oh, I raised my glass with him, would you not be a little perturbed? Would you not look at me a certain way? Like, really, Phil? That's what you did? That's what you did?
But I feel like you... Okay, so let me start off by saying, my view of this concert, like what we were all expecting, this was Kendrick and his West Coast fam getting together, and they were doing a whole performance, and the pinnacle of that performance, right at the end, the climax is going to be Kendrick doing the diss song towards Drake. So I would expect that most, if not all, of the artists on the West Coast have sort of picked a side that, hey, we're here to defend the West Coast against Drake's attack, or that at least that's how it's framed, true or not, right? But then when Massa came on, and some of the artists that he brought on weren't necessarily West Coast acts,
No, dude, there's no act that did not come that was not from the West Coast. Who's not from the West Coast?
Or at least they were not West Coast sound. Let me put it that way. They were more, a little bit more
Every
universal.
single act. This is how particular it was, and I noticed during the set. Every single artist is LA. So LA, in fact, that Baby Keem didn't even perform there because Baby Keem is from Las Vegas. He's not from LA.
Which is fair.
That's how strict they were.
But so,
this is nothing but LA.
my point that I'm bringing up is, YG did a Drake song. He performed
Dan.
"Who Do You Love?" Doom, doom. So it
Are you
made
missing the subtext?
So no.
Dan,
Hear me out.
no,
Hear me out. So I do think. I'm not saying it's not. I do think that this was very much. This was hate chiller. You know what I'm saying? I think this was rocking the Hades. You know what I'm saying? But is there a possibility that maybe it's not that deep? Maybe for some of them it was, and others it wasn't. I want to explore that.
This is my listen. Okay, and let me quickly quell that. YG has a song called "Weird." Have you heard it, Dan?
I haven't.
Have you heard the song called "Weird"?
No, I haven't.
I would advise you to listen to that song. It dropped a few weeks after Family Matters, in which he says, "Stop talking about me. Stop talking about my activities. You don't know me like that. Shut up."
Wow.
I don't know, Dan. Just a random thing. Like, I don't know. Who do you think he might be speaking to that acts weird? Who do you think he'd be saying, "Don't speak about me like that"? Especially when a few weeks prior, someone, I'm not going to mention names, dropped a song where it's like, "Hey, do you really know who's involved in illegal gang activities? Well, let me mention him by name. YG."
That's not what he said. He said he will bang a set, and by that he meant who.
Oh, really? What does banging a set mean,
Who
Dan?
makes a?
Dan, what does banging a set
Who
mean?
plays a great
Dan.
set at a concert? That's what he meant.
Okay. All right. Okay. So first and foremost, YG made it very clear from that song alone, like, yo, don't talk about me. Because some people were a little unclear. Then when you come out during the set and you, in between songs, you clearly state, sometimes we just have to pop out and show gentlemen.
Indeed.
I wonder, what would that mean, then? Whatever could that statement mean?
But Chance,
then
occasionally we need to emerge and demonstrate to kinfolk.
Whatever could that phrase mean? And then to top it all off, it doesn't close, but your penultimate song in your set is a song called "Who Do You Love?" Pointed wording, a famous collaboration with a famous artist from one of your debut albums. Dan, everyone was clearly putting a mark in the sand and saying, you know what, man? You know what? Maybe before this beef, I wasn't like this. But when you started attacking us and you started using our legends, which is another thing I'm going to have to. When you started using Tupac in the AI voice, when you started using Snoop in the AI voice, when you said that you can come to LA and get more love than this guy, when you said that you give more to LA than this guy gives to LA, we're like, you know what? We might have our differences with this guy. We might be Bloods, or we might be Crips, and he might rep a Pyro set, but Abbas Wanyanya. The same way, Dan, like you grew up with brothers. You can leave your house pissed off with your brother. Like, yo, this dude ate my sandwiches. Can't believe the nerve of this bastard. I hate this dude. You'll be in that car all the way to school, not even talking to him. You'll see him at break time and just walk past him because you're pissed off with him. But the moment you see someone dinnering your brother or getting into a fight with your brother, what's the first thing you're going to do? I'm still annoyed with you. I'm still upset. We might not get along, but you're my brother. No one's touching you. You're my brother.
I mean, I get your analogy, but I don't think it like fits into this.
I think it applies perfectly here because of how things unfolded. Dan, let me put it this way. Like, there's so many layers to this, right? So, do you know DeMar DeRozan is?
Nope.
Okay, DeMar DeRozan is a very good shooting guard, right? He used to play for the San Antonio Spurs. Actually won a championship with the San Antonio Spurs, right? He had a big contract coming up, and then they were like, yo, we need to trade this guy. Let's get rid of him. They then end up trading him to the Toronto Raptors. That's in Canada. So he goes from Texas to Canada. Something you didn't really see coming, a bigger surprise. Do you know the first person or the first house he went to visit when he arrived in Toronto? Drake's house.
Mm-hmm.
So this man spent 4 years in Toronto before coming back to America. Now he's plays for the Chicago Bulls. Actually, he could have come back to the Lakers, which is another thing that annoys me. He was willing to take a discount to come back home to the Lakers. And then you might remember in Not Like Us, Kendrick says, I'm glad D-Rose is back. You guys didn't deserve him either. You're speaking of DeMar DeRozan. Meaning, Canada did not deserve him, right? So you might just be mentioned in a song, Andijiga. However, I'm now led to believe that Kendrick does not mention people's names without a reason. If you look at how much Serena's husband has been retweeting Drake hate for the past few months, Alex Ohanian is bid on Drake's neck. Did you see his tweets this morning?
I saw.
So I'm led to believe that maybe that mention, like even him name dropping Serena, came from somewhere. Like obviously he saw what was going on, but I think maybe Kendrick also had a conversation and was like, "Yo, what's going on? You want me to step in? You want to check this fool?" All that to say, the fact that DeMar DeRozan, who clearly had some sort of relationship with Drake, that relationship dissolved or whatever happened. The fact that my man chose to go to the show after being name dropped is one thing. The fact that he's crip walking on stage to a song calling Drake a pedophile in front of millions of people with Amazon's logo plastered in the bottom right corner says something.
That was going to be my next question. If someone attended, does that mean they're automatically anti-Drake? For example, LeBron.
No.
Fine, okay, D-Rose, I get it, all right? He was on stage, crip walking. You know, it's a pretty clear. Also, maybe he just got caught up in the fun. But anyway, the beef is the beef. It's going to happen now that you're in that camp. But let's say LeBron. LeBron maybe just likes the song. I mean,
you can attend, Dan, but you know you can be backstage, right? You can attend and be backstage. You can attend and be in the parts of the arena where no one will see.
Nah, you gotta feel
that happens.
You gotta
all
feel
the time.
The energy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be there when they say A minor. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like really.
So I think for the purpose of this, like the devil's advocate arguments, yeah, are making sense. So the YG said, I was dope. The best part was seeing so the camera would randomly pan to the crowd. And there was obviously, because it's LA, there was a large Latino community there. And then when Ty Dolla $ign was on and Blast was on, and even when Roddy Ricch was on, they would pan and they weren't really into it. The moment YG came on, all those Latinos were turning up. And then someone passed a comment on Twitter, I don't know if you saw it, like, yo, Mexicans really love YG. And then someone said, yeah, YG is Mexicans' Jay-Z. Oh, kill me. But I guess it's true because So
okay, let's
while this is going on. I'm going through it. Like I'm gonna get through the sets. I started wondering, like, yo, you know what? This is actually gonna be a good thing because, as you mentioned, there's people that are aligned with Drake and the people that are aligned with Kendrick. This will be interesting to see who comes out. And I was like, you know what? I have a sneaking suspicion Dre and or Snoop are coming out. Right? Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, for the final act of the show.
Just before you get there, just very quickly on Mustard. You kind of briefly mentioned earlier about Mustard popping because now he's doing interviews or whatever. Obviously, that's because of Not Like Us, right? But before that, Mustard
first number one. And that's wild. That's a wild statement. That's his first number one.
Which is what? No, is it Mustard's first number one?
He's been number one on the hip hop and urban charts. He has not been number one
on Billboard as a whole. Damn, all right, because remember when radio was nothing but Mustard.
But I think that's also because we forget. It's a very nerdy conversation, but hip hop and black music was very under indexed on the charts. And what was big to us was not big to the rest of the world. But carry on, yeah.
No, I was just going to mention that Mustard had truly fallen off. And it's because, to me, I like Mustard beats as a bubblegum pop, club tune. But he's not who you'd expect to make the timeless songs. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? He's got like this very, He's got these like melodic sort of bubblegum made for the radio type flavor beats.
So you're telling me You Remind Me is not a timeless song?
No way.
You're telling me like in 50 years, if You Remind Me comes out, it's like
what it taps into is the nostalgia of how fun it was to listen to that song. But it's not as if it's like a really well-made piece of art. I don't know if that... Okay, actually, you know what? I'm not going to be apologetic about this. I like You Remind Me as a song to play at the party or to hear on radio. But I'm not putting it on a playlist for me to listen to over and over again. Because it's got that that bubblegum quality to it. It's like if you listen to Barbie Girl by Aqua, you can't call that a timeless hit. Yes, we still listen to it years later, but no one is sitting there thinking that this is really well-made art. It's just tapping into the nostalgia of, remember how wild it was when this song came out? I feel like it's the same with most of Mustard's music. He's got these really catchy, melodic sort of I don't know what the correct phrase words for this are. I'm not a producer, right? But he's got these beats that do. You know, they're very. It feels like very like not even keys, whatever it is, just like the flute or something. So I think that sound was hot for like 3, 4, 5 years and then completely fell off. And now all of a sudden Mustard is, and everyone's like, oh snap, remember Mustard's music? I think that if he sort of keeps that same flavor, but matures a little bit, Mustard's got the next 3, 4, 5 years as well. Because I mean,
okay, you know what, I'm looking at this. I think your wording is harsh, but I don't think you necessarily. He had his last platinum song was 4 years ago with Roddy Ricch.
No, he absolutely did fall off. Yeah, he did fall off. He was no longer. Dude, Mustard was untouchable. He was like, it would be Mustard after Mustard after Mustard. From when he played, again, he started his set by playing Rack City, which was his first hit, right? And again, Tiger is very Drake affiliated.
No, Tootin' and Booty was his first hit.
His first big hit.
Tootin' and Booty was a big hit, bro. Tootin' and Booty got YG's deal.
Okay, maybe we have different definitions of hits, but yeah. Anyway, that was 2011, and then he kind of fell off, I would say, around about 2000 and.
Well, yeah, actually, I think you're right. Rack City was his first big one. You're right.
Anyway, I mean, it was just a quick aside before you moved on. Then anyway, Dr. Dre came out, and you.
So I had suspicions of Dr. Dre and Kendrick Lamar. Now, it's very telling that the first song that Dre performs is still Dre, because if you're familiar with the song, there's a second verse by someone. That someone also happened to be one of the voice impersonations that Drake used on Taylor Made Freestyle.
What? Tupac was on
They
Still
never really
Dre?
came out. Well, he was on California Love, which is also fitting because Dre performed that. At this point, Dad, I'm not gonna lie. It was like 4 a.m. The surround sound was blaring.
No, but you've kind of jumped. You've kind of jumped some stuff, right?
No. I'm gonna come back to it. But I just want to get to this part. So, going crazy, having a great time, and I'm like, oh snap, Snoop's out there, and I'm like, So I was also live tweeting, but I didn't want to get too involved. I wanted to enjoy the moment. I was like, that's quite telling that Snoop is not there, and obviously I can't speak to it, but I think there's more to it than he just couldn't make it. There's something happening behind the scenes, because considering how monumental this moment was, considering Snoop is the person that figuratively passed the torch to Kendrick on stage at the House of Blues, this was a big thing, especially since he was very silent in calling out Drake for using his voice. Like, Tupac's estate were very outspoken. The other big, there were two other big West Coast absentees. Vince Staples wasn't there, but Vince Staples says, yo, stop trying to politic on my behalf. Just enjoy the moment. So he's at the very least, he's saying, yo, don't worry about that. It's all love right now. Let's just focus on the good stuff. Obviously, the other artist who wasn't there was Game, but Game has chosen a side. And he's chosen to be on Drake's side, which is weird because Game is also the catalyst, some might say, for this beef. Because he's the one that had the song with Drake, 100 Miles and Running. Was it 100 Miles and Running? I forget the name. that Drake came and shot in Compton, where he said, like, if I went conscious, I'd take all your fans. And Game allowed that to be on his album and allowed Drake to say that while shooting in Kendrick City, which is some might point to one of the big catalysts to this beef.
So quick caveat, right?
And we've seen how he's moved since.
Game, understandable. Game chose a side. Game defended Drake. Game was on Drake's side. So he was locked out. He was locked out of the arena. But Snoop, streets are saying that he's in Europe at the moment and therefore actually couldn't make it. Now, I do think there's an element of Snoop gives me the vibes of I don't really want to be involved. He just gives me those kind of vibes. But he does have at least plausible deniability here because he's apparently on tour in Europe. So I don't know if that counts for anything.
Well, we'll see if there's a statement from him. But yeah, I found that telling. Yo,
I also don't think he's the type of person to put out statements. He's just gonna vibe out.
Yeah,
he'll just make like
but
little,
also like
little
even
joke
if you're on
videos.
tour, like you Snoop, with the amount of money you make, and the other thing is like look at the money behind this concert. Obviously, there were tickets being sold. Cash App was sponsoring it. Amazon was sponsoring it. Dre and Snoop's company, Gin and Juice, was sponsoring it. Their ads were running throughout every set.
Like every 20
It's kind of telling that you weren't there. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. But anyway,
maybe he really
you could
wasn't,
justify
no. Maybe I don't know.
But you could justify the private jet. Just pull a Taylor Swift. Just
Maybe. Also, I suppose we don't really know. I wouldn't want to read too much into it. But I mean, you're already talking about when Dr. Dre came out. But just before Dr. Dre, Kendrick brought out J-Rock, Absol, Schoolboy Q. Yo! That was dope. I enjoyed that. Especially when J-Rock came out.
Dan, I want to get to that. So let's start with Kendrick. So Kendrick comes out, starts with Euphoria. I've now watched it a couple of times, so I've got mixed feelings. One is the fact that he's literally performing these dry, which means all he has is the instrumental. He's got no backing vocals. He's not doing the TB track. I can't see anything. It's all blurred, Dan. I don't know what you're showing.
I'm going to send it to you.
He's doing these dry. He's got no backing vocals. He's got no ad libs. Nothing.
No, it won't work. Yeah, keep going. Don't mind.
Thanks for distracting me while I'm trying to get my word.
Just talk.
My point across. Thanks, Dan. So he's doing that, but this is also the first time he's performed a lot of these songs. First time he's performing Euphoria. First time he's performing Not Like Us. First time he's performing 616 in LA. His breath work is insane. His command of the crowd is insane. I've seen that myself multiple times when I've seen him live. But if you go back to the live performances, he messes up the lyrics a couple of times.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that.
Which I found interesting. I guess maybe also the emotion of the moment. I don't know. Like, and also like the only reason I was able to know that is because I went back, right? In the moment, I was screaming so loud and singing along so loud. I didn't even realize or didn't really register that he said the wrong thing.
Yeah, there were times when he was also like, no, 69. You know, he would sort of mumble through certain lines. But to be fair, it wasn't like the majority of, and it was only on the new songs. Like his previous songs, it was only on these new songs. I think both on Euphoria and on on Not Like Us.
So that happened. Then the friends start coming out. So first comes J-Rock, then they do Money Trees. When that was my jam. When Schoolboy Q came out and they did Collard Greens.
Throwback.
No, man. I love music. Anyway, yeah. He comes out. Absol comes out and he starts performing 616 in LA. So I think, oh snap, they're going to do a remix to 16 in LA. In fact, they don't. They just end up getting back into some of Kendrick's discography with everyone else helping. But the dope part is it's Black Hippies reunited. And also, to be fair, like Absol does have health issues. So I can understand him just coming out for the look, but really not being up to it because he doesn't even tour that much anymore because of his health issues. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I was on cloud nine by this point, man. Seeing Black Hippie reunited, Dan, it filled my heart, filled my soul.
I mean, to be
it
fair,
healed some of my mental health issues.
It's like Black Hippie it's not like they released an album, or they didn't. The concept of it was amazing, right? And then it's just, I guess it was a reminder of what could have been. Maybe, I don't know.
But also it's just like, this is the first time seeing them on stage together.
Yeah. So it's like the thought of what, imagine if they really did put out a couple of albums that was just Kendrick, J-Rock, Absol, Schoolboy Q. Oh, fire, man. But, of course, Kendrick set, dope, did his thing. Someone said, is it possible that Kendrick's entire set was actually diss songs? And I was looking through the songs. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
You might actually have a point.
That's not even a reach. Like, a lot of these songs we already suspected.
Yeah.
Like, we always suspected Humble, for example, was a shot at Big Sean. Turns out it was also a shot at Drake.
Or the fact that he did DNA straight
I know.
after Euphoria. And it like...
Yeah. Element, swimming pools. What else did they do? Then obviously the 16 in LA. I think Collard Greens was because he was with Schoolboy Q.
Yeah.
And that part. King Kunta, definitely. Sadly, SZA didn't come out. Like, had they done All the Lights with SZA.
Yeah. Ooh, lit.
Ooh. Because we know what that verse is about right now. Man, this is fun though. Oh, and then, dude, when you did that verse.
And there's still fuel in the pyrotechnics. Yo. Because those things were going off like...
At this point, Dan, we're like, yo, so when is Not Like Us dropping? Like, we're trying to figure it out. Like, we're trying to, like, yo, what's going to happen? And I think this, to me, Dan, like, this is, without question, one of the biggest. This was painful. Like, if I was Drake, like, when this moment happened, I'm breaking everything and I'm crying. Let me just run it back a bit. Let me just play it.
Your city is the shit. Your city getting paid.
Thinking we can feel the same way. Very giving it up for California, yeah.
Come on, y'all, yeah. California. West side. Yeah. What city? What? Yeah. What's up? Yeah. Where the fuck are we from? City on. Yeah, I appreciate the love, LA.
Make some noise for that motherfucking Drake.
Yeah.
Hold on, Drake. You ain't gonna say nothing else before, we continue the party?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just need a moment of silence for this. I see dead people.
Dead! He dead! He dead! No, guys. Okay. We're gonna, there's a nuanced discussion to have just after this, but I think people appreciate, but for those that don't understand, there's picking a side, as Dan has mentioned, right? And there's levels to it. There's maybe taking a side, which is attending the show, LeBron. There's a layer above that, which is maybe dancing on stage. That's a layer above that. Then there's a layer above that, which is probably what YG did, which is a subtle shout out, like a subliminal shot, which is very pointed.
Playing a Drake feature, yeah.
And playing a Drake feature. Like that's pretty aggressive. That's pretty aggressive. And then there's obviously what Kendrick did is like ultimate aggression. Then at one tier below that is introing the biggest song in the country, maybe even the world right now, calling you a pedophile. And saying, psst, I see dead paper.
Phil,
let's also look at the person.
That's obviously a reference to Tupac and the fact that Tupac's legacy lives on. Therefore, he sees dead people. That's what's right.
You know what I'm saying?
If you bump this
And
table,
also,
the record might skip.
And this is coming from probably one of the most influential people in West Coast hip hop, one of the godfathers of hip hop from Compton, the same city where Kendrick is from, and one of the most influential people. Like, this man has a Grammy Award named after him. Granted, he may have paid for it, but still, he's got a Grammy Award named after him. It's not like any Tom, Dick, and Harry. You know, it's my big week. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna hurt.
And he got a DV case hanging over his head. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
So that's what I want to get into.
Yeah,
that's exactly. So we've spoken about Dr. Dre's domestic violence case before, especially like when the Grammys announced that they were partnering with him for the awards. You can go back to the episode. I'm not too sure what the episode number is, but I'm sure we'll get it in the show notes. But the reason why I mentioned that is a lot of people were saying it's hypocritical for Kendrick to call Drake out for being an abuser or excuse me, for having problematic relationships with women. And that's the cornerstone of his barrage of insults. Meanwhile, he brings out a man with a domestic violence case against him. Well, is it a case? He's admitted to beating,
not convicted.
He's admitted to beating D Barnes. He's admitted to beating D Barnes, right? And the fact that he beat a journalist for doing her job is bad enough. But obviously, the fact that he beat a woman is even worse. And the fact that he joked about beating this woman afterwards is horrible. But a discussion for another day is, as a society, what do we consider penance to be? When do we say that, okay, this person has atoned or whatever, right? That's one thing. And that's a fair discussion to have. And I can understand people being upset, but also I think a lot of things with the internet is nuance is always lost. And the nuance in this discussion is simply this. Dr. Dre may very well, well, he's admitted to it, have beaten D Barnes. But we need to understand and we need to have a discussion about how do we interact in society with people who have done horrible things in the past, and we don't know for sure, but let's just say, assume for the purpose of the argument, have tried to move on, try to make amends, try to move on with their lives, right? So Kendrick hops onto the scene. Drake, let's just say this is the only time that, Dr. Dre has done such a thing. It predates him by over 2 decades. He doesn't see Dr. Dre do anything of this. At the time, Kendrick is a struggling up-and-coming rapper. He meets his idol, his mentor, the biggest producer to come out of Compton. This man gives him an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm going to co-sign you. I'm going to give you a production deal. I'm going to put my weight behind you and your label and help you with Good Kid, Mad City, which, depending whether you believe it's the debut or second album, but whatever, right? So this man has materially changed your life. He's materially changed the lives of your family. He's materially changed the lives of your friends. He's materially changed the lives of your management. Everyone around you, their lives have been changed in some form or fashion thanks to Dr. Dre. At what point do you abandon that and be like, hey, but Dre, 30 years ago, you did this. You know what I mean?
So, okay, first of all, it's not 30 years ago. According to his ex-wife, throughout their marriage, up until divorce, she was subjected to domestic violence. Second of all, Phil, I think we've painted scenarios in our head that don't exist. Kendrick is not making decisions based on whether Dr. Dre is a good person or not, or if he did bad things or he didn't do bad things. By the time Kendrick performed the last 1 or 2 performances of Not Like Us, he literally had gangbangers on stage.
And that was
how is that different? How someone who killed someone and someone who beat his ex-wife are both criminals. They are both supposed to face consequences.
And they're both violent.
They're both violent. In fact, I might even argue that killing is worse than beating, as evil as both of those cases are. Kendrick is not a bastion of virtue. Kendrick, in fact, I think if I were to say the theme of this podcast for the past year, your heroes will disappoint you if you look too much into their lives. I feel like there's something you're speaking of, which I think most of the world is thinking about. Like, at what point do we have to hold people accountable? At what point is penance and, at what point can we forgive, or what point do we have to take things? And I'm like, yo, I don't think that's the conversation. I honestly don't think that's the conversation. I think almost all of these celebrities are either trash people themselves or are in close cahoots with trash people. And not just celebrities. We ourselves draw lines as to what's acceptable and what's not. If I were to think of everyone I would like to think that people I consider close friends, I try to be selective. But even let's just say people I somewhat associate with or have somewhat associated with in the recent past. I can very easily name a bunch of people who've been involved in unsavory behavior, or in some cases have rumors attached to them. And the thing is, there's certain things that trend more right now. So, for example, domestic violence or any kind of violence against women, you know that's going to have a far harsher look on it than, let's say, stealing, right? But both of those are crimes. Both of those are crimes. And I think there's an element of performance or performatism, or trying to, I don't want people to cancel me, therefore I have to make sure that people know that I don't associate with this person. Whereas in reality, most of us kind of don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to know what you do in your private life. I've heard rumors. And it's only when, hey, you've been convicted, a lot of people make decisions based on, I don't want to be canceled. But you'd be surprised how few people kind of care that much. Like, you know what? I actually don't really care. Unless it's a specific crime that I care about for whatever reason it is. And that's kind of messed up, but that's how society is, I think. And I think there's a lot of people, like everyone who is saying, yo, how can Kendrick call out Drake for being, for moving shady with women and young women, and then he partners with Dr. Dre? Yo, you're completely missing the point. Kendrick didn't call out Drake for trying to rid the industry of someone who's got shady movement. No, he called out Drake because he has a beef. This is selfish for Kendrick. I'm saying something to win a beef. Maybe there are certain things that are close to Kendrick or to Kendrick's family or Kendrick's inner circle, or certain crimes that hit him up even more than others do. Maybe, maybe there's some element of that in what he's doing. But ultimately, I do have a very cynical view of the entertainment industry. I don't believe any of these entertainers are doing things for good. Any of them. And I believe most of them are actually probably doing it for bad. And the only difference is the marketing. That's what I believe. And I think we have every right? When stuff comes out about R. Kelly and Diddy and maybe Dr. Dre, we have every right to say that now that I know this stuff about you, I'm not going to consume your art. And I think that's absolutely fair. And in fact, is a good thing. But to think that people should do that based on some level of integrity and some level of idea of right versus wrong in the industry itself, I think it's very naive. I don't think Kendrick didn't call out Drake because he's righteous. He's a righteous man or a good man, or he's trying to fix things that are bad. Kendrick called out Drake because he's in a beef and he's trying to beat him in a beef. Kendrick is hanging out with Dr. Dre, even though he knows about domestic violence, not because he's a bad person, just because he's a normal person in the music industry. All those people, all their managers and their lawyers and their PR managers and whatever. Man, if you were to hear some of the stories that would have come out from there. So the way I see it is, I get being upset, but to think that Kendrick wouldn't hang out with Dr. Dre because he was a domestic, man, it tells me that we're already in the performative element of a discussion and we're not talking about real things.
And that's the thing. What I was trying to get to was, I was trying to get people to start thinking that way, and then bring it back to personal lives.
Yeah.
Who in their personal lives, and I want people to be very honest with themselves because Dan mentioned it earlier. There is a bit of a discussion about, there's a domestic abuse on stage. Very fair. No one's speaking about gang members because I don't know if you guys are familiar with what it means to be in a gang, but for you to get your stripes, you gotta commit some crimes. You know what I'm saying? There were 1 or 2 individuals with teardrops on their faces. I don't know if you guys know what that means. I know what it means. Dan, I think you know what it means.
Quite familiar. You know familiar. Yeah.
The same people that were screaming bloody murder for artists who were caught doing heinous things, rightly so, would also be bumping Vibes Cartel. And I'd be like, make it make sense.
Don't get me wrong.
What's
I'm not defending these artists, and I believe Phil in this case also. You're not defending these artists.
I'm just asking where the line is because I'm confused. I am confused.
Neither should we think, oh, since they're all messed up, then it doesn't matter. No, it does matter, and I think they should be called out. But I also think we need to be real and accept that most of these are flawed individuals, and all of them are surrounded by criminals to some level or some extent. So don't expect that these are going to be righteous people. They're good people with good hearts and they're all just, serving the Lord together and, saving the children. You got to pick, what you can overlook and what you can't. And that's fair. And if you say, I absolutely can't support Dr. Dre because the stories I've heard about him and domestic violence and how he treated his ex-wife really triggers me, or I think that's wrong, I will not listen to Dr. Dre's music. And frankly, I am disappointed that Kendrick brought Dr. Dre out on stage. You have every right to do that. But to expect Kendrick not to bring Dr. Dre out on stage is naive.
But I'd also say that in that light, you'd also need, I'm not telling you what to do, just also analyze, are you comfortable using Apple Music?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable using AirPods?
How your Beats by Dre's over there?
Are you?
How's, you gotta know, I think we should just be aware that we all have some things we are comfortable with and some things we're not comfortable with. And most of us probably also have things we're aware of or that is in our periphery and some things that are not. And it's okay to say when things do come into my periphery and it fits into that category that I'm not comfortable with, cool. But also to recognize that it might fit into someone else's category of not in the periphery, or maybe not that I approve of it, but So I just want to put that out there. Don't be so performative. That drives me. It makes me, and we all do it. I myself also sometimes think, can't say that because you know how people will react, and I get it. But then some people just take it over the top, man. Just be real, guys. Let's be realistic. Let's be real here. Be real. Anyway.
So, anyway, let's get into the finale.
Yeah. That's what I was about to introduce.
Not like us 6 times. He ran it back 6 times. First 2 times, he didn't even get to the chorus. He didn't even get to the chorus. He literally both times stopped it A minor and then had everyone holding that note for 12 bars while he was doing the Elvis dance.
the only thing that was missing was
that's what I like. This man does not like you. He does. The hate is strong.
Do you think that's the case? I have another theory. I think he's shooting the video for Not Like Us.
Yeah, that's true. Because they are shooting the video this weekend. They have been shooting some B-roll scenes. So if you've been seeing, there've been photos that have been going out of people in black and red.
I'm pretty sure now you have,
but also
multiple takes,
but
multiple
also keep
camera.
in mind, when Niggas in Paris dropped, they played it back 12 times. No, 14 times, sorry. 14 times. I watched the video. It's 40 minutes long of them running it back 14 times.
I think it was 11.
When Fiend dropped, Travis Scott ran it back 11 times. So, to be fair, 6 was light. You was being merciful on us. Keep in mind, this is the first time this song is rung off, been performed live. So everyone was clamoring.
And it's the song everyone was there for. You know what I'm saying?
The way the stadium went up for that jam. Oh my God. The way my living room went up for that, I was going.
Unfortunately, the Drake fans, the copium is real. Maybe let's just...
So...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we need to move on. We got local events, but yeah, I was just going to say
I wanted to address that since we had a conversation in the group, right? So, okay, we've talked about the concert, cool and whatever. And there's this whole, there seems to be this narrative that Kendrick successfully duped y'all. Or, wow, Kendrick was so masterful that he managed to pull the wool over your eyes. Or, geez, Kendrick just, his strategy, I have to give Kendrick 10 out of 10 for strategy because somehow he confused y'all. I feel like that's a narrative that seems to keep on being repeated. And I remember I said, I think Drake's best song out of the beef was Family Matters. But in my opinion, it was still worse than Kendrick's worst song. Because I just think
what is even Kendrick's worst song? That's the thing. Like,
that's the
all
thing.
these
Like,
songs have aged really well.
the only thing that I might consider as his worst song, only in the sense of it, to me, it doesn't have that much replay value, is Meet the Grahams. But it's not a bad song at all. It's just I don't feel the need to replay it.
Because it's a horror movie.
Exactly.
Who wants to watch a horror movie every morning? No.
So I just want to say, there's no way to objectively measure art, right? Fine. Maybe your method or how you think you objectively measure art is by popularity or sales or whatever, which is, again, is not a way to measure art. But maybe that's how you feel it is.
I don't even want to entertain that.
I think it's
that is not a way to measure art.
I think it's probably
that is
the
a way
worst.
to measure capitalism.
It's probably the worst way.
That is the way to measure capitalism.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's the worst way to measure art. But anyway, let's say you are a stan of Drake because he's made some of your favorite songs, and that's okay. That's okay. He's made some of songs I love. I love some Drake songs, some of the older ones. Absolutely. I remember burning CDs on a Prinko CD and including Drake songs that I knew I was going to bump in that Toyota Corolla that my dad used to give me to pick up my youngsters from school. I would put on the Drake songs that especially those DJ Khaled remixes that I loved so much back in those days. I'm not here to say that you shouldn't like Drake, but if you were to take away your immediate fandom and to sit down and to make an objective measure, Kendrick didn't lie to people or pull wool over their eyes or somehow manipulate people's. Kendrick is just a better artist. He is. Drake is more successful, if there's a way to measure that, which is money, I guess. And I would argue that, I might argue actually, I don't know, there's a bit of thought that needs to be had because Drake obviously has more overall streams and money and hits and all of that. But if you break it down to song, per song, it gets a little closer than you think. And it's because Kendrick's put out far less work than Drake has. So maybe...
No, Dan, I think... I'm not even going to let you... That's a... Don't...
No.
Drake is a machine.
Of course.
Drake is a machine.
Let me put it this way.
His numbers are insane.
Drake's numbers are insane. But if you were to take Drake's top 10 and Kendrick's top 10, Drake will still win. But Kendrick is way closer if we were to look at pure streams and pure numbers and whatever. But anyway, that's besides the point. Drake's superpower is his popularity and being able to be popular. But I feel like it just annoys me when I see people like, no, I admit Kendrick won. No, his strategy was dope. Yeah, his strategy was dope because he really manipulated the media. I'm like, no, guys. Kendrick won because he was better. At the strategy, at the music, at the hits, at the numbers, at playing the internet game, at every single metric that you can possibly choose to measure this beef, Kendrick outplayed Drake. So it's not just, I don't know. It just annoys me and I wanted to address that.
And I think that's a good segue into our next point, which is something that we've been discussing in the Patreon group and also in the other group, which is media literacy. And it's genuinely like me not being condescending. It's me actually noticing and saying, oh, snap. Granted, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Like a beef or when artists are playing PR games, etc. I think this is the first time where I've seen stuff that happens on the regular, but it's now permeated the mainstream. And it's permeated like two different, very vocal factions of the mainstream. It's usually one bigger, one smaller act playing those games. And then the smaller act or whatever, realizing that, they can't beat this, acquiescing and then moving on. So people never get to see a prolonged war of attrition in public sentiment. Oh, that was a good turn of phrase.
Very nice.
Anyway.
Very nice.
But that's essentially what this is. And when I speak of media literacy, it's understanding the who, what, when, where, how. Who said this? What was actually said? Not just reading what was said in the piece, but what is actually being said. What is the subtext in what is being said? Right?
Source, context.
Why did they say this? Yeah. Why did they say this? What's motivating them, and who paid them to say this? That last point is really, really key.
Agenda.
Who is paying them to say these things? Exactly.
So
when you understand those, and you start looking at articles or stories, and it can literally just be a screenshot on what's called PopCrave or whatever, and PopCrave puts out a tweet, and you're like, okay, let me stop. PopCrave are saying this. Why? What are they saying? Why are they saying this? Who's paying PopCrave to say this? Because keep in mind, PopCrave exists by paid posts, right? They never declare who's paying them to post. So that means amongst the tweets you're seeing, there's legitimate news, which they're just using to make sure that they seem like a credible news organization. And then the stuff they've been paid to post, otherwise the page would not exist. And that goes across the board for all these pages. All these pages that are posting news, information, highlights, video, etc., especially on a platform like Twitter and Instagram where you can't necessarily monetize organic content, they're being paid to post that content. So you need to understand who's paying them for that content, right? With YouTube, slightly different motivations because you can get AdSense revenue, but still the same thing. If I'm getting $5 from AdSense, but I could get $10 from AdSense and someone paying me to say the same thing, obviously I'm going to get $10. Sorry, Dan, did I interrupt you?
No, you didn't. I just wanted to add a mnemonic device to remember this media literacy, and it's SAC. You got to ask yourself, who's in the SAC? SAC, source, agenda, context. If you get those three, it helps you weed out a lot. It helps you it just helps you to just to sail through whenever there's a lot of confusion. And it's basically what Phil said.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from? Why was it posted? Or who's posting to pay it? Or who said it? Or what, rather, who said it or where did it come from? Why was it said or who paid for it to be said? And what's the larger picture? What is this in context of? What was it said about? What's the story around it? If you can get those, and oftentimes it doesn't require more than a quick 2-minute Google search to be able to see the answer to those.
Yeah, and once you start getting in the habit of that, and once again, I'm really trying my best not to be condescending because apparently I do tend to be condescending sometimes. I'm genuinely trying to convey this message. You'll start to see through things a lot quicker. So one of the other talking points that we had on the rundown, which is now negated, was this alleged stream botter who went to academics and said they had been paid by Anthony Saleh, who's Kendrick's business manager. If you simply saw that conversation, saw what was posted around it, you would have seen, I smell a rat, right? If my business essentially involves covert operations, which is what this is, right? Is it in my interest for people to know how I operate and what I do?
Actually, why would you go to academics?
Because exactly, how are you guaranteeing your clientele going forward? Then they post a screenshot that shows allegedly $1 million. You know what? If I had $1 million in the bank, what I wouldn't be doing then? Bragging to academics about getting $2,000?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely. No.
The other thing is,
you're right.
Yeah. The other thing is academics an impartial source of information? Has academics paid himself to be down the middle throughout this discussion? Of course not. So, plus, it was then proven that the company that he allegedly received money from doesn't exist. Already weird. And also, why would the company that sent him money be the exact name of the person who's sending you the money? Guys. Okay. We are big people. Let's think like big people. Clearly, false story, easily debunked, quickly debunked. But what for me was maybe a few seconds of thinking analytically, blah, 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 blah. For other people might have tended down a whole rabbit hole. Like, you see, look, I knew he was lying. I knew he was playing games. I knew there was manipulation. Then you have a debate back and forth. No, but actually, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time you finally get a chance to explain and be like, yo, this is why I'm pretty sure this is not true. You've expended a lot of energy. And that's where disinformation thrives, is in the confusion as to what is true, what is not. It makes it easier for some of these fanciful stories that we can see or other people see to be false can grow legs because people simply don't understand it. And I don't think it's their fault. Like, I was even thinking about it earlier, not to get into political discussion, but in a country like Zimbabwe, with our history, people being taught media literacy would not be advantageous to the powers that be. In general, it's not advantageous to be media literate because it's easier to persuade you one way or the other. It's easier to silence voices. So I think it's important to frame this discussion within it. And as Dan said at the beginning, we are not impartial, right? We are human beings. But as professionals, we try and use this podcast as a platform to speak on our professional understanding of things. We do try and share an impartial view with you, the listener. So, and we have a disclaimer. You know what? Drake really isn't for me. But let's look at this objectively. I believe there was a time I even came back a few years ago. I was like, you know what? Actually, I want to retract something I said there. I think I downplayed Drake's prowess in this circumstance. Here's my reasons why. Because that's a level of impartiality. But at the same time, the people that are sharing the notions that Dan spoke of earlier, I would just say, ask yourself why you think that. And also, if you believe that the people on the opposite side can be so easily swayed or as you say, manipulated into believing something, are you sure you are able to do the same for yourself? How are you making sure you aren't so easily swayed? Because it's like, it's condescending, but it also needs to be introspective at the same time. Like, are you sure that people are that dumb? Like, everyone is that dumb. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't have to be everyone. That's the thing. That's the thing. But the answer is yes, some people are that dumb, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. They certainly are. But usually the dumb people end up exposing themselves.
So maybe
questions of other people have to ask.
Last question for you, Phil, on this whole Drake Kendrick situation.
Thank you. I'd like to have the press conference now.
Just last question. Is there anything Drake can do to come back from this?
He's already failed. He should have done before. He should have gone quiet.
Phil, Drake is arguably the biggest artist in the world, or at least in the conversation for the biggest artist in the world. Surely he can do something.
No, but he can't. remember that Camila Cabello song that Drake had a feature on that they kept pushing back. And now, like, it's still months after the beef, and that song is still not shaved.
Isn't it on the album? Didn't she drop an album or something? And it was, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Is the Drake feature on it?
I mean,
I think they were planning on rolling it out as a single, so I think that got scrapped, and then maybe they just wanted another single on the album. But my point being is,
it would actually be smart. It would be smart to release a Drake because everyone would want to hear how is Drake going to respond, so they would listen to the song.
Yeah, but then Drake wouldn't clear it.
Shame.
Drake wouldn't clear it. He should have just like the moment he saw the Hard Part 6 did not hit and Not Like Us was out. Just go quiet. Just simply go quiet for 6 months. Don't be seen. Don't be just quiet. Also, you had another added reason because there was a shooting at your house. That would have been the perfect opportunity. Sadly, I hate to make it sound like I'm using someone being shot as a PR opportunity, but with the circumstances being as they were, the moment after that shooting, you could have even put on a statement. Just, you know what, hey, things are escalating. You're not
clearly this has gone a direction I don't want it to go. I am no longer engaging. You know, and
yeah, and then leave it like that. No one would have held you out and be like, okay, you lost, but you know what? You're bowing out. Fine. And you keep quiet. You take 3 months off, you don't do anything. Then the 3 months leading up to the 6 month window, start recording again, and then you just record until you know you got at least a truck full of bangers. And you're like, all right, let me remind these guys why they love me. And you, but the first 2 songs after this beef haven't feel like they're garbage. They're garbage.
The Camila Cabello album is supposed to come out next week, and it's got 2 Drake features on it. Let's see what happens.
You see, free Camila Cabello.
All right. Let's skip all this other stuff and talk about our experience this past weekend.
Okay, wait. Let me go back to the show notes. Let me just make sure there's no important thing.
Take a look through. I mean, I raced through and I was like, not really.
Okay, cool. I just got these 4 points. So let's talk about experience. Yeah,
I did want to talk about Nara Smith and Onezwamba, whatever, the whole thing. But honestly,
I'm not ignoring. Once again, I'm not ignoring.
yeah.
Ma'am, I don't know you. Okay,
My plan-
I'm having a little trouble believing you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I especially that email. I don't believe. No, ma'am. That email.
Phil,
no,
let's leave it.
ma'am.
It's just my plan was before the pod, I'm going to do my research. As we speak now, I know
Dan, I've done my
nothing.
research. Dan, that email was all the evidence we needed. Like, fab.
Also,
Fab.
I'm praying on Adobe's
Guys,
fall.
no,
It's not
right.
gonna
You know what? We just spoke about media literacy. Please use the tenets of media literacy we've just spoken in our previous segment,
Sack.
and look at Wanzwa's tweets. Is it Wanzwa or Onezwa?
I'm sure it's Onezwa. Why Wanzwa?
Wanzwa. I don't know, because Zwa is also a common thing in South. Anyway, yeah, go look at that email. Why would Nara Smith send? Do you like, guys? As big as Nara Smith is, first and foremost, they're not in the same country. What legal action can she? Guys, you know what? I'm actually getting annoyed just thinking about it now because I'm like, you guys don't respect. You think we are stupid, huh? You think
No,
we are?
okay.
You think we don't know how to send each other emails?
In her defense, she could have received an email from someone claiming to be Nara, and
But then she should have also used some discernment.
I
like,
agree.
okay, does
I
this
agree.
email?
So it's possible.
Is this narasmith@gmail.com?
I believe.
Or is this 127522555 at Bullet Mail?
I believe she received an email, but obviously
Whoever authored it, that's a mystery. But she definitely received an email. Like, that's not in dispute. The author of said email is where we're like, are we going left or right?
So this past weekend there were two major outdoors events that happened. One was the Redefined concert that featured both Ja Praise and Winky D at the HICC. As you can imagine, whenever the two of them are in the same place, huge thing. So I believe it was a sold out concert, the Redefined concert at the HICC. On the same afternoon/evening, Ngoma Hosho by Walter Wanyanya and team put together Carpe Diem that happened at Old Hararians, which also, by all intents and purposes, looked like it was sold out. So Phil and I were at Carpe Diem. We were not at Redefined. Maybe before we took a... Nah. Who do I know who was at Redefined? Amen.
If only we thought about this before.
I know. Let's talk about where we were, man. We just talk about what we know.
Yeah.
So, Carpe Diem was an experience. Carpe Diem was a DJ festival. No live performers or live singers, rappers, chanters, whatever it was. It was full DJs for 6 hours. 12 hours. What was it?
12 hours.
12 to 12.
Yeah, 12 hours.
12 p.m. to 12 midnight. Yeah. And it culminated with four South African DJs. That's Murder of Black Motion. That's Prince KB.
Sanel musician, Oscar Mbo.
And Oscar Mbo. And then from Zimbabwe, there were a ton of DJs. I think Ryan Synth was the big Zimbabwean act DJ, which, I mean, he's a good DJ, but he's not big. You know what I mean? So
maybe they were giving a platform to Bulawayo.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's big in Bulawayo. Like, I know him, and I know he's a dope DJ.
He's big in Bulawayo.
And he is big in Bulawayo, but he's not headliner big. Or maybe I need to do my research. I don't know. But he's dope. I mean, he's a dope DJ. And yeah, I mean, we went there. It was dope. It was outdoors. We had our cooler box. We sat down. We got up and danced. It was dope. There's a couple of stories from there, but maybe before we get into the individual stories, what was your overall assessment, Philip, of Carpe Diem?
No, it was good. Let me actually bring up my notes here. For the most part, that stage was insane. Just for DJs,
really dope stage.
That was a 20 by 10 stage.
And the sound was dope as well.
Yeah, the sound was really good. That was dope. The lineup was pretty eclectic. It was I get it was a DJ festival, but it seemed to lean a lot towards house. But it wasn't strictly house because Sponge did a hip hop set. We had Chiweda doing an open format set with some instrumentation, which we'll discuss later.
So on that, I agree with you, Phil, because I think I was trying to find, after the fact, is there somewhere where it was mentioned that it would be an Afro tech or a house? Because I thought it was going to be that, and I was trying to figure out where I got that from, and I didn't.
Well, from the branding. I mean, they were using Halu's song, which is Afro tech.
Yeah.
And then the headline acts were all house and Afrotech DJ. So I get what you're saying, but you also wouldn't be wrong to think, hey, maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought it was going to be, so I assumed it was going to be Afrotech house. Maybe when I saw the lineup, and I was like, dope. It's going to be a dope like Afrotech, thing. And then there were several. So there was Chiweda, there was Sponge, and I think there was one other who did like more pop/hip hop sets.
Well, Ryan Synth was
right.
Was more MOPM.
Ryan
so
Synth
let's get into it because I don't want to forget. We can start with Ryan Synth. I enjoyed the beginning of his set, it was interesting. Like considering how much. So I don't even start. Ryan Synth started this set using a supercut of the Wicknell voice note, or recording. And
I mean, he didn't work it. He didn't work it into the music. He just played it and then played his song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good way to set the tone. Yeah, but I expected it to have a bigger response because that has been trending, and I was like, is this crowd like really that Salah that they have in the head the news yet, or are they not trying? Or maybe they know him close personally,
or they're like his friends, or
it.
You know what? I think it was. I think. Not to rag on Zimbabwean audiences again, but I don't think they were locked in. I think everyone was talking, reaching for a drink, not really paying attention. Because I saw some people's faces after a while start like, wait, is that the thing? But
that's the other thing. Like, let's get into it now.
Okay, before let's start with two major talking points that I want to talk about. Number one is, for some reason, Chiweda was trending before and after the show. I've known Chiweda a long time. I know Chiweda is a good DJ. I know that because I've seen him DJ live, and I've seen him. He's got regular sets. I don't know if he still is at Jamtree, but he was regular at Jamtree. And I wonder if that's maybe where some people are getting a little bit of a weird view about him. As to whether he always DJs well, that's a different question, right? Maybe there's days that he's not really, maybe he's off days, or he has days that he's doing weird stuff or experimenting, or maybe sometimes he just misses what he's trying to do. Probably happens to everyone. But the thing is, I've seen him DJ live and mix things incredibly, and yo, that was dope. I've seen it with my eyes, standing there while he's mixing. And of course, he's also like an accomplished producer who's produced some of the big hits in the country as well. So I often think that someone who's a producer also has an extra ear for music and can be a good DJ. But for some reason, like before the show, a lot of people were saying, oh my gosh, Chiweda is on the lineup. Oh no, Chiweda, what. So I mean, I saw it and I kind of chuckled because I know some people just hate on DJs. We've hated on some in the past as well. And for good reason. But maybe it's because, oh no.
So it's not hate then.
Yeah.
That's a critique then.
Fair.
It's not hate, it's a critique then.
So maybe there were some people who were at Jamtree sometime and they just didn't feel what Chiweda was playing, which is fair, right? But I felt like a lot of people were agreeing, and I was like, what? All right, cool. Anyway, Chiweda comes out, and my first thing is, here I thought we were about to listen to Afrotech House, and I was keen to see what is Chiweda going to bring? What's his style going to be? Is he going to play like, let's say, house remixes of Zim joints, which I would have loved to hear. But then he started with Bruno Mars, and it rang off, but oh. And then he was on the guitar while someone else was pressing play, or I don't know, whatever the case was.
So shady.
No, I mean, he was playing the guitar where you could hear like the synths and whatever when he would play along with the song. And I spoke to Chiweda afterwards, by the way. We should give him a call. I thought he was doing it as a response to all the people that were hating. So it was like, I'm going to dunk on y'all. But when I spoke to him, he was like, nah, do you know what? it's only after the show that I saw all those messages. And I don't know if you can take him at his word, right? You have to take it with a pinch of salt. From what he said, he was like, people after the show told me, oh yeah, you were doing that to silence the haters, weren't you? And he was like, what do you mean? And then he went and he like searched his name on Twitter. He was like, God damn. So I spoke to him about it. I was like, yo. And he was like, no. Then I searched on Twitter. I was like, why are people, what did I do? And he was like, and his whole thing, I mean, he didn't take it seriously. The way he said is like, hey man, if you're going to be doing something, there's always going to be people who don't like it. So it's whatever. So I was like, all right, that's like a mature way to look at it. But I don't fully get it. I know Chiweda is a good DJ. I don't always like all of his sets, of course, because how could you? You know, there's certain things that you like and certain things that you won't like. And I think Chiweda is one of the DJs to air quotes blame for the whole every Zim DJ plays All I Do Is Win.
You say what?
I'm saying Chiweda is obviously one of the DJs in the crosshairs of people when they say Zim DJs always play All I Do Is Win. Because Chiweda is a prolific DJ. He plays at like Jamtree and I'm sure other places as well. So there's the one story that I want to mention. And I think it's not just Chiweda. It probably applies to DJs in general. Here's a DJ festival. There's an opinion or a thought that DJs in Zim suck. All right. And I might say that I think to a certain extent, I agree with that. But it's not because they suck. It's because they're playing what audiences want to hear. And I think it's because audiences suck. And I feel like this is the hill that I want to die on. Zimbabwean audiences suck.
Make space for me. Make space for me. I'm coming.
We suck at comedy shows because we I'm not saying you must enjoy the content, but if you are enjoying it, surely you respond by cheering, laughing, applauding. But somehow we seem to respond in a weird way. Audiences at a DJ festival suck because yes, you're enjoying the music, but you're like not vibing to it. Or you're vibing weird to it. Or if someone experiments with cool sounds or whatever that you might like, that's not something that you resonate with. But when they drop All I Do Is Win, or they drop Make It Rain, woo, yeah, so what's the DJ gonna do? He's gonna play what you respond to. Yep. So I don't think Zim DJs suck. Of course, some of them obviously do, but I think in general we've got some dope DJs in Zim, and you can see it when they play, like when the crowd is smaller, or when they have more sophisticated crowds maybe, or when they do radio sets or whatever. They like do mad mixing and experiments, and they do wordplay. This one DJ Joe, man, there's always like little snippets of him doing like wordplay stuff, So he was playing some dancehall song. I can't remember which song it was, but there was someone who was saying pretty girl. Then he like loops that, and then he brings in Tyler with, they don't want a pretty girl like from Joburg, and that's what they prefer. I was like, oh snap, let's go. Wordplay sets, or like who just mix really cool. DJs can do that, but y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that. Y'all want All I Do Is Win. So anyway, I can see you're itching to, I'm tagging you in. Tag me in, go tag me in. And he's in the ring.
No, actually, I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, Zim audiences are bad. So, the people that complain, also, Twitter's not a real place. A lot of people talk smack on Twitter because they're feeling emboldened too. They think their faces, whatever, but in person, they don't feel that way. And as you rightly said, DJs do not operate in a vacuum. It's also a very competitive industry and competitive game. All these places that book them want the patrons to have a good time and buy drinks because that's how they make their money. So if you're not enjoying the DJ, you should leave because that's a clear signal that he's not a good DJ and changes need to be made. But if you stay, and not only do you stay, you continue to buy drinks or whatever, and not only do you stay and buy drinks, but when he plays the songs you complain about, you dance along.
And it could be leave, sorry, just to clarify, it could be leave the dance floor. Maybe not leave the whole entire establishment. But y'all respond to the songs you complain about.
And that'll be a clear signal. So either you're in the very small minority or you're lying. We got to figure out which one it is. The other thing is, as Dennis already mentioned, audiences are not educated. They are terrible audiences. Like for a DJ's song to have an impact on you when you're out, you have to have recall. You need to know it.
So if you only are consuming the music that everyone else is consuming, that's commercial, guess what the DJs are going to play? Because when they drop that super dope deep cut that is going off in Atlanta, but you don't care enough, they're going to skip to the song that you know, which is what happens many a time. And Zimbabwean audiences need to ask themselves, maybe we keep hearing all I do is win because we deserve all I do is win.
As much as I also want to be critical on audiences, right? I don't know if educated is the right word. I think the way I would like to look at it is for whatever the background reason is, we don't respond well to anything outside of our comfort zone. Have you ever tried to get a Zimbabwean to go on a hike or to get in the pool at a pool party? In general, we know what we like. We like what is comfortable. I know I like the song because I heard it in high school. So here I am 15 years later and I expect you to still play that song. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when there's something new, unless it's already been co-signed by someone I respect, i.e. South Africa or America, I'm not trying to hear it. And that's why it's so frustrating for a lot of artists as well, because Shasha was making dope music when she was here, but, she had to go to South Africa and be co-signed by Maporisa and make, Amapiano hits and then get recognized by BET before like, yo, Shasha's dope, hey, mwana wevu. And I do know that I've also oversimplified that, but I do think it's a symptom overall of, in general, I don't think Zimbabwean audiences like to get outside of their comfort zone. So play what I know. And if you play something else, man, this DJ sucks.
Yeah. So bringing it back to Carpe Diem. This also came into sharp contrast when Sam Cosmic started his set. Sam Cosmic, so we had entered like a house Afrotech set because there was Saint Emo was doing house, then Halu, Sam Cosmic, and Tanny Swiss. Those are all Afrotech DJs.
Tanny Swiss was dope, yo. Oh.
Nah, he was killing. He was killing. So the thing there is if you're a consumer or fan of house, you would understand who Chuck Roberts is. Chuck Roberts is Chicago house pioneer, one of the most famous voices over house music. He pretty much invented that style, Dan, of like someone like doing poetry or spoken word over a house song.
Yeah.
Chuck Roberts, This Is House monologue is probably one of the most wided
intros.
That one.
A muchly used
expansive.
Intro. Yeah, bigly used.
A muchly used intro, or rather a muchly used vocal sample across like house songs, deep house songs. If you've ever gone to a house gig, it's highly likely you've heard this man's voice before. He recently passed away last week actually. And I think we forgot to mention it on the last episode. However, if you were a house fan or vaguely familiar with this, a house DJ starting off their set with a tribute to a house pioneer like this would go off. It'll be like someone saying, put your lighters in the sky for Pop Smoke. You know what I mean? And I was watching the crowd, like no one responded. I was like, this is...
But like maybe they're
the Twilight Zone.
Maybe they're not house fans.
But this is my point.
Maybe they're house fans.
That's my point. That's my point, Dan. And this goes on to the others because I saw some people saying that some of the headline acts, their sets were off, and I was like, no, they were actually really amazing. What they did do, especially Prince KB and Sanel to a certain degree, they actually changed their sets. They made their sets very commercial because they know that Zimbabwean audiences don't consume house music like that.
Okay,
and that was the right call to make.
This was going to be my second point that I was going to bring up. I think I didn't stay for Sanel. I left by then. But for example, I think Prince KB, Prince KB was amazing or started off amazing, but he lost me at a couple of transitions. Just the transitions, not song selections. A couple of his transitions, I was like, oh, you missed that one. And
no, but also I've got some background information. Some the decks were thinking because they were throwing everyone off. But yeah,
and I would say I wouldn't begrudge him. I wouldn't begrudge him that much. But I mean, if we're gonna be fair, here you are, a headline act who was probably paid the most out of the people that came here. you know, you fumbled a little bit, like a small amount. But otherwise, I mean, I enjoyed the set.
So, and those are really dope sets.
Especially
Granted,
Oscar Bo.
I
I loved
think-
Oscar Bo, yeah.
Yeah, I do think having Murder, who does 3-step, coming before Oscar Mbo, who does deep house and then sometimes Afrotech, I would have switched those around. Murder's set was insane. Shout out to Murder.
Murder was dope
got
as
to
well.
chill with him Got to chill with him backstage. He even took a photo with some merch. Gave us a nice shout out. So that was really dope of him. Didn't have to do that. Very gracious, really appreciative. The funny about so like we're chilling with him backstage, right? And we're like, yo, that new EP is banging. Why did you put the numbers in the title? So he's like, you know, you had my EP. I'm like, yeah. You know? And then I remembered that the day before I'd seen a post about DJ Zinsley getting him a car for his birthday. So I just threw it in there like, oh, happy belated birthday. It was like, oh, snap, you know, it's my birthday, man. You know, if he was being genuine, I'm dope. Excuse me. If he was just playing to, you know, appease me, good acting. You sold me. But his set was insane. It was dope. I really enjoyed like the whole night was dope. I think like the only negatives from the night itself, I think, was outside of the backstage stuff, which I won't get into here. I think it was just more so the time. And I feel like a lot more could have been accomplished with a smaller lineup, especially considering how cold it was getting. Venues in Harare are a mess. So I'll come anecdote. I got my car got hit twice leaving the venue on Saturday. So a bit of backstory. I wanted to leave, right? But then other people had come. So we had to go find them. So I was like, and then they were like, no, can we please watch that? And I was like, guys, I want to avoid traffic. But the problem is I had parked literally right behind the stage. These other people had parked outside. So there was a miscommunicate there. By the time we finally leave, I'm now knee deep in traffic.
Yeah.
And when you're in Old Harare, it's literally just 2 lanes. And those 2 lanes are supposed to accommodate what are now thousands of cars trying to exit at the same time. It's going to cause issues. Now people are drunk, people are tired, whatever it may be. Some guy's driving forward, there's a traffic jam ahead. He reverses into my bumper. Bam, doesn't look. I'm annoyed. Damn. And this is with a truck. As we're about to leave, some dude in a brand new S-Class doesn't hit the brakes, hits into my back. Once again, I look at my car, it's fine. His car's messed up. This is a new car. Good luck with that. But he's also drunk out of his mind. I'm like, whatever. I don't have time for this. I'm dipping. Jet. But getting out took me like an hour, which is frustratingly long. If we could figure out a solution to that, life would be so much easier for us.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
Overall, it was kind of, I mean.
I love Mox. I know the only other critique is like, Mox, I love you. I'm not too sure the way you approached this weekend was the way to go for DJ Festival. I get sometimes you had to because you were vamping for time, and those times I understand. But the regular approach, I was like, I don't know.
People thought he was dope. I was seeing feedback that thought he was dope. I thought he did what he was supposed to do. I don't think he was exceptionally dope or bad. He was just, which I guess is the role. Like, if you're an MC and I don't remember you that much, then I think it's, from my perspective at least, I think you've done a good job. But I did see people online were saying like, yo, Mox was dope. Sort of to your point about maybe the education of the audience versus, you know, like maybe Prince KB had to somewhat commercialize his set and whatever. I did notice a huge difference between our like Zim DJs and the SA DJs. And I think the Zim
What
audience...
is the difference?
In terms of, again, I don't have the English for this. I felt like the SA audience, the SA DJs were comfortable building up a song and then building it up to the drop or building up to the hook or whatever it is. Whereas Zim DJs, it's like hook to hook to hook, you know what I mean? Or it's like drop to drop to drop.
Which genre though, Dan?
Specifically, I mean, we were talking about like the house Afro tech. So for example, when Ryan Synth was playing, Ryan Synth had like some dope song selections and some dope mixes and whatever, but he didn't have periods where there's a nice long transition from one song to another. You still got the drums going and you're transitioning to the next song. And whereas Prince KB, for example, to use an example, or for that matter, Oscar Mbo, they were playing similar kind of music, but they were building up music. And to me, it sounded smoother and cleaner to hear sort of that, like,
but we've answered this
bopping your head.
The reason is, the problem is the Zim audiences. Zim audiences are like kids on TikTok.
Fair. I mean,
like if you don't hit them
immediately, you need to know what song it is immediately. So you go woo, and then you need to drop the next one before they get bored. And I think that's kind of a shame. And I don't blame Ryan. I don't view it. Even view it as a negative. I just think I would prefer the build up. The
other reason is it's somewhat nerdy, but it's also true. The other reason is because of the songs that they access. Sadly, because of things being what they are in Zim. Oh, the other thing is, well, it's all linked. When we're talking about DJs and their sets and so forth, granted, yes, people respond to what they like, but also because these guys aren't being paid much. They literally are barely scraping by. Like, I'm not going to put their business out there, but if you knew how low Zim DJs are currently, you would understand how difficult it is for them. So you're asking a lot of people who are pretty much overworked and underpaid. The other thing is Zim DJs, with the music that they get, South African DJs, international DJs have access to DJ pools, and the DJ pools will have the extended intro cuts, the mix cuts, the acapellas, etc. Where Zim DJs, for the most part, are getting their stuff illegally via ripping it off YouTube, whatever. So in some songs, because if it's a YouTube rip, it's not going to have the 16 or 8 bar lead in. It's going to get straight into the song because it's the radio edit. So you won't even have that window to properly blend just the dry bed of the song, you know what I mean? And that also affects how much of the song they have to play with, which affects how they do the transitions.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm thinking, I'm not trying to think of like a startup DJ. I'm trying to think of a DJ who consider themselves at the top of their game. So I would expect that shouldn't be an excuse for them. But I do get your point. The money thing is also a very valid one. I mean, you really expect a DJ to be performing at the top level, bringing in the amazing mixes and what, for the small money that he gets for the 4-hour performance. He's like, nah, he's going to give you the music you want. He's going to do the bare minimum. It is what it is. But yeah, overall, I mean, we're obviously nitpicking and analyzing whatever. Honestly, overall, Carpe Diem was an enjoyable event.
That was dope, man.
It was nice.
They got another one coming in December.
Yeah, they announced season 1, episode 2. That's how he's putting it. 23 December, I believe.
Yeah, that would be dope. I would look forward to that. I actually, one thing that was dope was like also the organization, how strict the team was. Because even on our end, there was no room for shenanigans. Also, did you see Marvelous Nakamba was there?
Oh, word! I didn't see him.
Oh, he was in one of the things. Yeah, I bumped into him. Like we're both going to the channel. Oh, what's up? And,
oh, snap! Okay, cool.
I got a doozy.
I don't want to put anyone on blast, but each media house, right, got an allocation for media coverage. I didn't think I was going to go, so I allocated it to journalist, DJ, whatever. Then when Madam was like, you know what, let's go. I was like, all right, cool. Let me see if I can still get it. So I called. They were like, oh, we've already allocated yours. And I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, let me see if I can make a plan for you. I was like, thanks. And that caused a problem. And listen, my bad. I wasn't trying to dodge or whatever. I was just, it is what it is. It's cool. But yeah, it was dope. It was a good time. I look forward to the next one. The rumors are that it's going to be a big name, at least one very big name. So, yeah, not to say that these are not big names, but even bigger. So let's see what happens.
Nah. Yeah, we look forward to it, man.
All right.
It'll be dope. What else do we need to touch on, Dan?
Philip, let's take advantage of this time to wrap it up. I just took a look at how long have we been recording. Oh, we're approaching 2 hours. Damn. I was thinking, hey, man, we got to make this a quick one. 1.5 hours, something. But look at us. We've even done bonus. So I propose that we drop that new Denim Woods and Takura. It's called Daiso.
Oh, Daiso.
Shout out to Bushle. I don't know if she wants it known out there that she's the one appearing in the video. But hey, I recognized you. I was like, oh snap, I know her. And of course, it's actually quite a tune. So Denemunds and Takura with that new Daiso, I think, is a big tune. But apart from that, Philip, is there anything else that we need to tell our listeners?
No, we did see some feedback that some listeners would like us to analyze the SA elections. I think especially now that Parliament's been set, we'll find an expert because that's something we're not versed in. You know, what Dan and I try to do is we try to be male podcasters that don't behave like male podcasters. Because the typical male podcaster response will be like, you know what, I don't know nothing about the topic, but anyway, give it to me. I'll find something to say. No. We want to give you guys well-researched, well-informed, measured opinions. So we'll find an expert and then we'll get back to you.
Also, guys, again, let's be real. You guys have been listening to Two Broke Twimbos for a long time. Yes, we sometimes pass comments about things that are happening around the world. But have you really listened to us sit down and analyze a politics situation on this podcast? It's not what we do. It's not what we do. So look, Phil, if you would like to bring on an expert to explain to us what's going on in SA, I'm sure some people would enjoy that. But I don't think it's something we generally do. And maybe in this case, we can make an exception. I don't know. You know, this podcast is mostly about entertainment, the industry, and, you know, just I like to think that Dan and Phil are giving sane reactions to what's happening in the world of entertainment, social media, and tech. And it's a rare thing because most people are giving over-the-top reactions. And I think that's the nice, comfortable space that this podcast is fit in. But, you know, every now and again, I suppose we could reach out into different spaces. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in once again. Hey, we need your support. Podcasting is struggling in terms of funds. So to keep this podcast going, we need you to show that you appreciate it by becoming a Patreon member. Become a Two Broke Twimbos patron. All you have to do is go to twobroketwimbos.com/donate. There you have several options on how to do so. The easiest option is to sign up to the Patreon. Choose any one of the tiers that are available. If you choose the $5 tier and up, we will then consider you a Two Broke Twimbos patron, and we will add you to our WhatsApp group if you so choose. We will make sure that you are first in line to receive any of the merch that we have or part of the discussions we have. Occasionally, we like to bring the patrons onto the podcast, something we haven't done in a while, Phil. Maybe we should schedule that for a new one. Whenever we do stuff, whenever we do discussions, calls, and whatever, it means you're the first one there. And ultimately, the real reason you're doing it is to support us. But we like to try and give you at least a bit of value for that $5 that you're paying for. But the real reason is, you know what? I'm supporting Dan and Phil to keep this podcast going. So twobroketwimbos.com/donate. We would greatly appreciate it. Like I mentioned, the Two Broke Twimbos patron tier for $5 and up is the easy way to do it. But you can also do $10, $20. You can do more than that depending on your wallet and your pocket. Or you can even just drop a once-off donation that, bam, completely agree with what these guys said about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. $100 NUE. We would greatly appreciate that.
Oh, bam, I disagree with you guys. I'm paying you so I can tell you you're stupid.
In fact, if you want to come on here and say, Dan and Phil spoke for so long about DJ Chiwedara and I have my opinion about him, we will allow you to share your opinion with a donation. That's how it goes. Otherwise, you have no opinion. Exactly. I guess that's pretty much it. We're going to end the show with that new Denim Woods and Takura. It's called Daiso. And we're going to take this opportunity to say peace out. We out.
Let me want some. You don't ever sleep with the lights on. You just tryna tame it like a bison. I'm just tryna set the mood with the right song. Don't let the night fall, let the dice roll. I'm just tryna follow through comme des garçons. J'étais les en l'air comme des l'argent. J'étais les dans l'air comme des l'argent. J'arrête ISO, let me want some. You don't ever sleep with the lights on. You just tryna tame it like a bison. I'm just tryna set the mood with the right song. Don't let the night fall, let the dice roll. I'm just tryna follow through comme des garçons. J'étais les en l'air comme des l'argent. J'étais les en l'air comme des l'argent. Paradiso, wine slow, reservation. Keep your eyes on me, fanka python. Munyo gazon, dam si kan bokan gano je ma title. Come to my show, let me show you what we do with the lights on. After that, I'll tell you more. calamity. J'aurais so, let me want some. You don't ever sleep with the lights on. You just tryna tame it like a bison. I'm just tryna set the mood with the right song. Don't let the night fall, let the dice roll. I'm just tryna follow through comme des garçons. J'étais en l'air comme de l'argent. J'étais dans l'air comme de l'argent. Baby, back up on knees. I know you been the one for me. I got too many eyes on me. I'm just your type on appetite. Baby, back up on knees. I know you been the one for me. I know you been the one for me. Tirito se vacha zodi. J'aurais so, let me want some. You don't ever sleep with the lights on. You just tryna take me like a bison. I'm just tryna set the mood with the right song. Don't let the night fall, let the dice roll. I'm just tryna follow through comme des garçons. J'étais en l'air comme de l'argent. J'étais